kabayan, nais kong inyong malaman ang isang kwento ng buhay dito sa Diwalwal. Mabuhat nung ako'y dumating dito, kumakayod, dinanas kong gutom at puyat, o kunting sinasahod. Pinasukan ko'y pagiging sa
Freedom Film Fest 2014. One film that intrigued me was Diwalwal, shot by Phillip Couture, a French national of Vietnamese descent and living in Hong Kong. It's about a lawless mining town in the hills of Mindanao, the Philippines. I was intrigued by the film and also how on earth he got out alive from a town deep in the jungle, quite far away from civilization.
I'm intrigued as how you managed to get to that place. Could you tell us the background of that story, please? How you got there in the first place? How did you find the story?
Okay, so before being a filmmaker, I was a production designer, and I kept some contact in production design. And just before I discovered Diwalwal, actually a friend of mine was working on a feature film with Tran Anh Ho, Vietnamese French director, and they were shooting some sequences in Diwalwal. And I've been working with them in Hong Kong. I was helping them to do a shooting location. Then when this friend showed me the photo of his shooting location in Diwalwal, I said, "Whoa, I want to go there." So then the producer of this film was absolutely against the fact I go there because it was pretty difficult. They went with an entire military company to protect them because there are 3 movie stars from Korea, from Japan, and from America. So it was a huge protection from the military. But for me, that was a good opportunity to go up there in an easy way. So I went there. I squatted their shooting, and I went up with them. And I stayed there when they left after the place. I stayed there and I started to look around and discover the place and discover the story. So that's how I get there the first time. Then I stayed and I went several times after. Once I found my way going, it's easy to go back. So I went back because I look Filipino also. So it's easier for me to go there. Otherwise, it's a pretty dangerous place because a lot of people get kidnapped and etc. So,
but that was a real cowboy town, wasn't it?
It is
like no law order, right?
Yeah, it's a Wild West kind of city. I mean, it's really a gold rush. So with all the legends that's happening in America when there was gold rush in San Francisco, it happened there also. They really found the gold at the beginning in the river. It was big nuggets. People were just collecting in the river. But after years and years of exploitation, the last 20 years, it's very poor mine. And it's been violent from the beginning, actually, because the people were saying that before you're going up there, you don't buy a shovel or tools to dig, you buy guns first. That was the first thing. So yes, it's always been a violent place.
No one in his right mind would take you to Diwalwal. No guide, no buses, and certainly not a taxi. And anyway, there's not even a road. The 2 surest ways to get you there are greed and desperation, most probably a subtle mix of both. Mindanao is a separatist island in the southern Philippines. There, Diwalwal is a legend. Lost in the forests of Mount Diwata, this pirate city is not marked on any map, because it's in no one's interest that it should be.
Weren't you afraid at all?
No, I enjoy that kind of place personally. But that's personal. I think it might be dangerous if you don't know how to behave in that kind of area. Yes, it can be a bit dangerous. But I find that kind of place more interesting. You find interesting character, and you find interesting people living really outside of the normal world. So it makes very often the people more true to themselves and true to what they do. And so I enjoy very much meeting that kind of individual.
What was your most frightening moment?
Retrospectively, the most frightening moment is going in a mine. Because they really go in very small tunnels. They dig the tunnels themselves. Sometimes it's just not even 1 meter square. And you go down very, very deep under the crack in the rocks. It's obviously absolutely unsafe, not secured at all. And the first time I went, I didn't plan to go in the mine. It's really like it's done in the field. I just follow the miner because he's going there every day. And he challenged me a little bit. He said, okay, you want to go? Let's go now. And I said, oh. And I went with a very small camera. And I follow him. And several times we were really crawling in kind of tunnels. And I didn't know where it was ending. I mean, so it's very stressing. But I assumed that this guy was knowing what he was doing because he was going all the time there. So my instinct were really absolutely red alert. There was all my instinct was saying, don't go there, don't go there. And I calmed myself saying, no, this guy is going every day. He probably knows what he does. He probably knows. But in fact, he doesn't know what he didn't know what he did. Because, 2 months later, the mine collapsed and he died there with his 2 associates, exactly where we were shooting. So retrospectively, yes, I was very afraid, and I'm still afraid now. I would never go back in that kind of things. I mean, it was stupid. I mean, I was right to be panicking in this mine because it's extremely dangerous. So I will not do that anymore.
You made some interesting connections. I mean, you got really well. You seem to have gotten really gotten along well with Franco Tito, didn't you?
I have 2 partners, Digan and Digan.
Franco Tito is a very touching character because I think he's absolutely sincere in what he does. He has huge courage. He's been there for 20 years, really risking his life. He had something like 7 murder attempts on his life. With really, he had contract on his back, and he probably still has some contract with some killers who have some good money to make if they kill him. So, but he really didn't betray the people. He's a very committed guy, and he's really sincerely defending the people. I mean, so I've learned to know him because I was following him everywhere, and he was not bluffing. I mean, all the money he had in the pocket during the day he was distributing to poor women, poor men, etc., etc. And it was not a show. I mean, he was really giving away things because he cared for people. And he cares to a point that he really gets pissed off when those guys get abused. He's sincerely very, very upset, and he's ready to die for what he believes is right. So he's a very exceptional guy. I mean, you can be courageous like me for a few weeks like that, but on 25 years non-stop, I have a big respect for Franco Tito. He became a good friend of mine now. I mean, he's absolutely a remarkable person. And on top of that, not only is he's courageous, but he's smart. He's sincere and he's very smart. He has a kind of instinct to understand the things and do the right things. So at the beginning of the story, for example, he's not at all an environmentalist. he didn't want to hear about environment. But at the end of the film, he really sincerely wanted to clean the river, and now he's working on that, which is also another big enterprise in his life. So it's a new start for him. But environment became he's sincerely convinced that that's things to do in Philippines.
So, when you went out to produce the documentary, what was your intention? Was it just to discover what these guys were doing, or what did you discover as you shot the film?
Well, in my case, very often I go in places because I'm curious about the place and the people. It's instinct. But when I go, I don't have a story. I didn't know Franco Tito. I didn't know the story with the mining wars that happened there. I didn't know about the multinational. I suspected there was stories because the place is so crazy. So I go. It's like fishing. You go, you fish, and then something comes out of the fishing. So you have better. Ground. So that after it's kind of knows. That's what my profession taught me. I know when there's potentially a good story, but I don't have a preconceived idea of what's. So it's really a discovery. So you just do an inquiry and slowly. Sometimes I was surprised, very surprised, when I learned that the mayor get killed, for example. It really happens during the interview that Franco Tito tells me that the mayor has been killed. And at the point I said, I was really suspecting that, did you kill it, Franco? Did you kill him? And he was not him, but I was wondering, because he was part of the story. And at the point he said, no, he got killed, and I learned that really during the interview, and I was kind of, and who killed him? And so now it's real discovery, and same time I'm shooting, it's a real discovery of the story. And after, even up to the editing of the film, I don't know what the story will be. So the real story, it's only when the film is finished, and then you understand it's a very interesting process, documentary film.
Okay, for you, what's next?
You mean for my next film? At the moment I'm shooting in Haiti, in the Caribbean, so this island where there was all the catastrophe, extremely bad politics also, huge corruptions, colonies, cholera, earthquake, typhoon, they have everything. So, after Diwalwal, I developed the needs to do something. I just don't just want to be a witness of it. I think I have to do something as a human being, take responsibility and try to help. So I researched what could be done, and I discovered something we call permaculture, which comes from permanent and agriculture, and it's a permanent development to give the people the opportunity to sustain themselves in a sustainable way. So it's a technique, a design technique. I'm an architect. It talks to me, and I adopted this technique, and it works. All the solutions are here. So I wanted to see really a country that is in need of that, and I choose on the map the most damaged country, the country with the most problem, and Haiti qualified in 2010. So I went there, and I went to the worst place of Haiti, which is Cité Soleil, a slum of 500,000 people. And I started to do permaculture over there, and at the same time I'm shooting a film to see if we can do something, if things will change or not. So that's what I'm doing, but it's already 4 years. So and I'm not sure I have a film. So I have friends, but I'm not sure I have a film, but things are happening, there's extraordinary people, and yeah, there's probably a film.
Bisan siya kabus ug simple lang nga tao, kaninyuming alagad sukad pa kani ato sa kwarta wa nagpalingla, gilabanan niya kamo, isipin yung kapitan ug amahan ni ining baryo. Franco Tito ang kapitan, kaniya siya mulaban. Gagmay minero sa kabukiran, walay angay nga kabalakan. Diwalwal mapasalamaton sa pakigbisog ni Franco Tito. Prinsipyo ug baruganan, mas laban